James Robbins from the BBC. And a more specific question for President Kagame, if I may. So you said that you embraced Commonwealth values, and I wondered if you could set out for us specifically what you intend to do in order to meet criticisms of failings in the guarantees of human rights and media freedoms in Rwanda.
Well, there were failings in the freedoms and rights of in our country 16 years ago, and underlying that were the causes that in fact came from outside of Rwanda. And even during the 1994 genocide that took place, which was indicative of this failure indeed of the freedoms and rights of people, the actual world that talks about freedoms and rights failed to deal with the situation. So for the last 16 years, Rwanda has been rebuilding itself and in fact putting together the pieces that came out of that tragic history, which the outside world, outside of Rwanda, has a lot to share in terms of the blame. So in rebuilding our country in the last 16 years, we have also sought to join hands with many other countries that have a lot to contribute, if only they could contribute. As we also contribute to the well-being for the freedoms and rights that are talked about. I think the Commonwealth is a family where there are many failings, and failings don't come from only one part of that family. Each family has its own failings, but when they come together, then they share good practices to overcome those failings, and that's why Rwanda sees it very important to be part of the Commonwealth. There is a lot we are going to gain from it. There's also a lot we are going to contribute to the well-being of the members of the Commonwealth.
My name is Henry Gombia. I represent Black Star News and Straight Talk Chronicle. Mr. President, we understand that you arrested General Nkunda, who is wanted by the ICC in The Hague. I wonder whether you can tell us whether you are planning to hand him over or not. And secondly, as my colleague James has said, there's so many journalists who have fled from Rwanda. Most of them have gone to neighboring countries like Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania. And also, before you left Rwanda, we read that you had criticized some of the media in your country for trying to interview those who are in opposition. I wonder what you see wrong in the media trying to interview those who are opposed to you, and whether that's the way to go forward for a new member of the Commonwealth. Thank you.
First of all, I start by correcting you. In actual fact, to my knowledge, Nkunda is not wanted by the ICC. Probably somebody else or other people in his group were wanted by ICC. And those are not in our hands, they are in the hands of DRC. So I wish to correct you on that. And even ICC has not made any contact with us to ask for Nkunda or to say they are interested in Nkunda. So I think you need to be corrected on that. Secondly, on the issue of Nkunda again, we are dealing with the DRC government, and we are in the process of dealing with that situation as we have dealt with other situations that have been affecting DRC as well as affecting Rwanda. So the two countries are working very well to overcome that problem. So as far as I am concerned and to my knowledge, there is very good progress. Now, on the question of the media and the press and our region, again, it's a question of how you want to look at it. You talk about journalists running away from Rwanda, going to neighboring countries. I hope, as an honest observer, the region itself has many problems, which every country in the region has been trying to overcome, or countries in the region working together to overcome. Well, there have been media houses closed in those neighboring countries you talk about. There have been journalists arrested every other day, in, out of prison, in those countries in the neighboring Rwanda. You know that. So it's not that you have the impression you want to give, you have Rwanda producing people fleeing to better places in the neighboring countries. I think it's a general problem that it's not one side is right, the other side is wrong, and it is permanently like that. I think it's a question of engagement and dialogue and discussion to see where the right is and where the wrong is. Well, we have had journalists in Rwanda who have killed people in the genocide. Well, it hasn't spared them that crime because they are journalists. So when they do that, they are able to justice like any other human beings or citizens for them to be held accountable. We have had journalists who have been involved in other crimes. The justice systems do play their part in the country of Rwanda or in the neighboring countries or other countries beyond in dealing with that situation as they deal with other citizens. Now, but the freedom of expression through the media and the press and so on and so forth is something that goes on, that grows from one situation. It develops for the better in the whole region, as the same case with Rwanda.